Phil, thank you very much for joining us for the OVF podcast. Mr. Philip Kurtz, the chairman of CareATC. Kind of an interesting topic here this afternoon. What are you going to talk to us about?
Well, we just recently, in the last, in March, completed a transaction recapitalizing the company, and the new private equity firm took out most of the shareholders and their interest, and so it was primarily an exit. They bought about 85% of the stock of the company, and I'm going to talk about that and talk about the lessons that we learned from that, and kind of how we came about achieving that transaction. It was a very nice return on investment for our institutional investors.
Awesome. And was that the original strategy for the company, or tell us a little bit about how CareATC came about?
I kind of came to CareATC about 6 years ago, and I'd made a commitment to stay with them for 5 years, and at the end of that, family began to say, well, I thought you were only going to be there for 5 years, and so
Right.
began to see that I was going to need to make some changes myself, and so the board thought that might be a good opportunity for us to look at doing a transaction rather than going through a change of leadership at the company. At that time, I was the CEO of the company. So.
Now, in some of your bio data, you said it seems like everything you've done in your career to this point was to get you here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It really was. I wasn't looking for this job at all. In fact, I had invited the founder and the CEO of the company, who was in his mid-70s at that particular time, to go out to lunch. And I told him I was a board member of I2E and that we had some growth capital that I thought he might be interested in to put into his company. And he said, I don't really have any high finance people. I don't, what would I use the money for? And I said, well, I understand from some of your executives that you need to build some technology, you need to move up the spectrum, that they're beginning to see a lot of competition in the marketplace out there. So basically, during the conversation, he said, is this something you might be interested in? And I was kind of taken back by the question, and I was even more taken back by my answer, which was, yeah, I could be interested in something like this. I was at the end of a 3-year contract where I'd sold my company, that previous company, to Benefit Focus, who was in the middle of doing an IPO, and I was involved in that company. But at the same time, they'd moved a lot of my operations from Tulsa out to Charleston and reporting out in that area. So I could see there wasn't a lot for me to do later on during that period of time. So I was needing something else to do, and we thought, my wife and I thought we might move to Charleston or whatever, but or retire.
Right.
So she was really shocked when I came home and said, I think I'm going to do this.
Guess what?
That's right.
Has it been a good ride?
It's been a wonderful ride. And first we agreed that I would come in for a 60 to 90 day period and just determine whether or not this was a good fit for me and whether it was a good fit for the company or not. But after 60 days, I did feel like everything I'd done up into my life at this particular time had prepared me well for this company. All the things that were missing in the company were things that I felt like I could bridge the gap to. So if I'd come in and done that diligence ahead of time and determined that there's not anything I can add to it, I would have walked. But instead, I felt like the things that I was really trained for at helping take a smaller company into a much bigger company was there for me. So that really excited me, and it's been a great ride and great group of people to work with, and the company's achieved a great deal, and I'm just really proud to have been associated with it.
What advice would you have for an entrepreneur today?
Be looking at what people value in the long run and build your company around that. We needed to be innovative in order to move away from the competition. We also needed to establish strong KPIs and then work on driving results against those KPIs and those objectives. And when we were able to do that, we really pretty much succeeded on building a really good 5-year plan that we executed on, and that execution paid off big dividends with our investors and returning a good return to their money.
Terrific. Anything else you want us to know?
No, I think today it's still a great company. It's still growing very well. It's definitely a disruptor in the marketplace and achieving great results at changing people's lives and making them healthier. And when they're healthier, they don't depend on medicine as much. And so that's the theme behind that. Catch cancers early, can catch diabetes before it becomes diabetic, or catch them in the pre-diabetic area. And you've got a real chance to have an impact on people's lives, and it's not near as costly to do it at that level than to wait until it's become an acute type of illness.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to your talk.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.